Ethan Cole had built an empire from nothing. At just 35, he was one of New York's most powerful CEOs, running a multi-million-dollar real estate firm. To the world, he was confident, commanding, untouchable. But behind the walls of his penthouse apartment, he was just a man, a single dad raising his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, after his wife's passing 3 years ago. It was a rainy Thursday evening when Ethan's world took an unexpected turn. He was pacing the living room, tugging at his tie, frustration etched across his face. His company's annual gala was days away, a glittering event where every CEO, investor, and socialite in Manhattan would be watching him. But the problem wasn't the speeches, or the press, or the billion-dollar deals. It was his mother. "Ethan," she had said over the phone, "you can't keep showing up alone. People are beginning to talk. You need stability, a woman in your life. Bring someone to the gala, or I'll set you up myself." The thought made him shudder. Blind dates? Scandal in the press? No, thank you. But as he looked around his apartment, his eyes landed on the one person who had always been there in the background, Grace. Grace wasn't flashy. She wasn't from his world of suits and skyscrapers. She was his maid, kind, hard-working, the quiet presence who kept his home running and his daughter smiling. She was the one who braided Lily's hair for school when Ethan had early meetings, who tucked her in when he fell asleep over spreadsheets, who hummed lullabies in the kitchen when she thought no one was listening. And in a moment of desperation, Ethan blurted out the unthinkable. "Grace. I need a favor. Will you pretend to be my girlfriend, for one night?" Her eyes widened. "Me? Mr. Cole, I clean your floors, I'm not." "Please," Ethan interrupted, softer now. "It's just one night. I trust you. And I need this." Grace hesitated, then looked at Lily, who was watching with wide, innocent eyes. "If it's what you need," she said finally, "I'll do it." The night of the gala arrived. Grace emerged from the bedroom in a simple navy dress Ethan had bought for her, a dress that hugged her in all the right places, though she looked both elegant and nervous. Ethan, usually unshakable in front of boardrooms full of sharks, found himself speechless. "You look incredible," he managed, his voice lower than he expected. The evening was a whirlwind. They arrived at the ballroom, chandeliers glittering, cameras flashing. Ethan introduced Grace as his partner, his hand resting gently on her back. She smiled shyly, but there was something disarmingly genuine about her presence. While other women sparkled with diamonds and rehearsed laughter, Grace listened intently, spoke with kindness, and even charmed Ethan's toughest investor by asking about his grandchildren. What was supposed to be an act, didn't feel like one. Not when Grace leaned close to whisper jokes that made him laugh harder than he had in years. Not when she bent down to adjust Lily's tiny bow during a family photo, her eyes full of love for a child that wasn't hers. Not when Ethan caught himself looking at her like she was the only real thing in the room. But the night wasn't without its test. Toward the end of the gala, a rival CEO, sharp-tongued and arrogant, approached with a smirk. "So, Cole," he said, swirling his champagne, "finally found someone to play house with? She's not your usual type. What's the story here?" Grace froze, the sting of his words hanging heavy. But before Ethan could respond, Grace lifted her chin, her voice steady. "The story," she said, "is that family doesn't always look the way you expect. Sometimes it's just about being there. And I'd say that's worth more than any deal in this room." The rival blinked, speechless, while Ethan's chest swelled with pride. In that moment, he realized, this wasn't pretend anymore. Later that night, back at the penthouse, Ethan tucked Lily into bed. Grace lingered in the hallway, ready to slip back into the shadows of her role. But Ethan stopped her. "You didn't just save me tonight," he said quietly. "You made me see something I didn't realize I was missing." Grace shook her head. "Ethan, I'm just your maid. Tonight was make-believe. No, Ethan replied firmly. Tonight was the most real thing I've felt in years. For a moment, silence hung between them, until Lily's sleepy voice carried from the bedroom. "Daddy," she murmured, "can Grace stay forever? I like it when she's here. It feels like Mommy again." The word struck Ethan's heart like lightning. Grace's eyes filled with tears, and Ethan reached for her hand. "Stay," he whispered. "Not as my maid. Not as my pretend girlfriend. Stay as us." From that night on, life looked different. Grace became more than just the keeper of Ethan's home, she became the keeper of his heart, the steady light in Lily's world. The three of them built something stronger than wealth or appearances, a family stitched together by kindness, trust, and second chances. And though the world had once seen Ethan Cole as untouchable, the truth was simple. He wasn't just a CEO. He was a father, a man who had found love again, not in the glamorous places everyone expected, but in the quiet, selfless heart of a woman who had been there all along.